So it looks like Britain has a new Prime Minister. It seems like a sporting moment to have a sip of gin and tonic, old boy. So, cheers. And I took this momentous occasion to do a poll on the Thunderfoot channel. You know, just to test the water here, because it's going to more people will see it over there. And the question was, Boris Johnson is the new Britain, is the next British Prime Minister. Will he make Britain great again? Churchill, Mark II. Or will he make a roaring success of Brexit? Or there'll be lots of blather, but no change. Or will it be new clown, same circus, or will he be worse than Theresa May? And it's about 14% think Churchill Mark II, 8% he's going to make a roaring success of Brexit, 12% nah, 50% new clown, same circus, and 17% he's going to be worse than May. Now, if you're asking me, I'm going to put him down in this category here, in that the problem is fundamentally intractable. It doesn't really matter who you have in charge. The thing is that Theresa May won't piss as many people off as Boris Johnson. I have it down in this sort of region. Now, it should be said this is sort of largely in line with, when I was putting this sort of video on the Thunderfoot channel, this is sort of almost the demographics of the channel. Is 1/3 think Brexit's a terrible idea, and 2/3 think 1/3 think it's a great idea, 2/3 think it's a bad idea, and this is sort of largely reflective of that. But there are three basic options on the table. You can go for no deal Brexit, which we could have done by now, or which Britain could have done by now. I'm not too keen on taking responsibility for this. Anyway, Britain could have left already. They could have had a deal, a negotiated deal already. Theresa May spent 2 years negotiating a deal with Europe, and Parliament said, nah, not going to do it. A huge rejection in Parliament. Or there was the option to basically change your mind, to have another referendum, see if people had changed their minds. All three of them went before Parliament. No deal, rejected. Theresa May's deal, rejected. Even the option for having another vote, rejected. Now, those numbers really haven't changed now that you've got a new Prime Minister. So the problem is fundamentally frustrated. Yeah, you can't get out of this with chirpy optimism. Dude, we're going to energize the country. Look, all you've already got to do, all Brexit really is, the deal that people keep worrying about. It's a trade negotiation. Think Phantom Menace. Really boring. And it is. I mean, even the rudimentary, cut down negotiated deal Theresa May came back with was 500 pages long. Any sensible deal is going to be much bigger than that. You're not going to get that sort of thing by drinking lots of Red Bull. You need someone who is competent in charge. And the can-do spirit doesn't do it. I mean, this sort of, invoking the war spirit. The war wasn't won on a can-do spirit. It was won on logistics, mostly. You put up pluck against a well-organized armored division, and you're out of luck. You need competent people to do this, and Johnson's not the guy to do it. So another thing I usually look at, too, just as a rough barometer of what the rest of the world thinks. Maybe a more unbiased view of this is how people are gambling their money over this, which is basically the pound-dollar exchange rate. So You come back 5 years and it falls off a cliff here at Brexit. Wipes 10% of the economy overnight, another 5% somewhat later, and then there's a build back of optimism. Things might not be so bad. And I think this might be one of the the Brexit secretaries resigning or something. I mean, they got through two most important negotiations that the country's ever dealt with, and in the middle of it, the guy in charge resigns, and another guy comes along, and he resigns as well. And finally, they all agree on a deal. They all sign off it on it, and this is coming down to the last year, and they can't get it through Parliament. Parliament says not interested. It's crap. And then comes the day when we're actually meant to be leaving. In the meantime, they had several more votes on it because, of course, Parliament can change their mind on exactly the same issue, but people, no, you voted for it once. That's your lot. Anyway, ever since then, it's just been going down. You take a look at the headline here: Pound extends gains as market buy on fact on Johnson. And I'm pretty sure if you look at it over the last day, that's what they're referring to. Look, it rallied a whole cent on what has been an otherwise this year uninterrupted downward trend ever since we left. Ever since we should have left and got this extension. The extension's not going to change anything. I mean, what have we spent the time doing? The Tories have had a change of leadership. Great. Just what you need in the middle of the most important negotiations your country's had in God knows how long. This is all sort of glossing over the most important fact of all, that none of this should have ever happened, in that what should have been put on the ballot was a choice of a specific Brexit versus staying, right? This was going to be the option. Once you say all the various Brexit options are together, that's what lands you. That's the lack of foresight that lands you where Britain is now, which is running around like a headless chicken, trying to work out whether you want a no deal or a negotiated deal, and what the terms of that deal should be. These are things that you should have thought of before you even put it on the ballot paper. But of course, if you'd have done that, Brexit would have never have won. And we know this because it was a borderline thing anyway. And if you were to sort of put no deal versus a no deal versus Remain or something, then Remain would, basically you put any option against Remain and Remain would have won, right? It's only when you group all of the leave options together that you actually get this, few percent in favour of leaving. I mean, for me, I'm fine. If you want to do that, there's this old saying that democracy is where people deserve what they vote for, and they deserve to get it long and hard. This is who actually they're not really even voted for him. So this is the bizarre thing: this is the second time during Brexit where we've got a new Prime Minister who hasn't actually been elected by the people. All these people who clutch their pearls about, how democratic or anti-democratic this is, like they ever cared about any other sort of trade negotiation. But we've now had Theresa May was selected, not elected. And then she went to a general election where she failed to win a majority. And now we have Boris Johnson taking over, who is also being selected by, 100,000 members of the Tory party, only 2/3 of which voted for him. So that's about 60,000 people out of 60 million. less than 1% of the country actually voted for him to be the leader. Yeah. Anyway, predictions. What the hell's going to happen? Oh, I have no idea. The one thing I'm certain of is this, we can do it, is going to be one of the most short-lived catchphrases ever, in that it's just going to hit reality. Okay, what does that actually? Yeah, this is Johnson's leave means leave, or Brexit means Brexit. It's some sort of platitude, but what does that actually mean when you sit down at a negotiating table? What does that mean in terms of what sort of Brexit you're actually going to be negotiating? So yeah, Johnson's going to hit the wall hard. And what's he going to do then? I don't know. I would guess that he's going to be just as gridlocked as Theresa May was, and they're going to get up to the deadline. He can't basically run out the clock because Parliament have done things that make it hard for him to do that. And even if he did, that would be interesting. Actually, I'd like to see that. Yeah, I think Johnson was the guy who said or maybe it was Farage, I can't remember, that he would apologise if Brexit caused a recession. And then before people say that, economic predictions have been wrong before. Well, yeah, all predictions have been wrong before. That doesn't mean all predictions are wrong. And most of the predictions about Brexit are actually been pretty decent, right down to calling the result as within the margin of error, to some of the economic forecasts said there would be about 3% drop in the economy, which is isn't sharp here, but it's not far off what there's actually been in the UK after Brexit. Anyway, so what do you think is going to happen? Will he get a deal? Will he try and run out the clock? Or what is the end game here? I would love to hear your opinions on it. Okay, well, have a nice evening.